Hello students, it's Nazia Begum here, your physics lecturer, welcoming you all in today's lecture. In previous lecture, we have studied about thermodynamic variables, zeroth law of thermodynamics, thermodynamic equilibrium, first law of thermodynamics. Okay, then we have derived this formula, equation 13.2 for first law of thermodynamics. Now today we are going to discuss special cases. Okay, so first let me tell you what is the first law of thermodynamics. According to this law, if the heat is supplied to a system which is capable of doing work, so whatever heat is supplied to the system is spent there in two parts. One part is used to increase the internal energy of the system and other part is used to do the work. So whatever heat energy we supply is used in two parts, to increase energy and to perform the work. Okay. Now let's discuss special cases. First case, if the system is isolated, an isolated system. In an isolated system, no work is done on the surroundings and also there is no heat flow to or from its surrounding. If a system is isolated, so the walls are non-conducting. That means the heat cannot transfer outside and no work can be done there. Okay. So that means the total work del Q, del W, okay, equals to del Q equals to 0 there. So if work is not happening, so according to this formula, del Q equals to del U plus del W. If in this formula we put del Q and del W equals to 0, so we have change in internal energy del U. Change in energy equals to 0. That means there will be no change in energy. That means the final energy UF will be equals to initial energy UI. It is not VI, it is UI here. Okay. This will be UI. So once again let me tell you, if the system is isolated, that means there will be no exchange of heat. So change in heat will be 0, as well as there will be no work done. That's why del W will be 0. So if we put del W and del Q equals to 0 in first law of thermodynamics, we will get del U equals to 0. That means change in internal energy equals to 0. If change is 0, that means energy is fixed. So initial energy will be equals to final energy. So the internal energy of an isolated system is constant. Then second case. Second case is there for a cyclic process. A process that eventually brings the system back to its initial state is called cyclic process. So now suppose we are having a container in which a piston is fixed. This is the piston. Okay, it is a movable piston and inside this container gas is filled there. If we supply heat to the gas, what happen? Initially, because of the work done by gas, the piston will move in upward direction. Okay, and here it will reach. The piston will move in upward direction. But again, if the piston is moving in downward direction and comes at its original place, so that time we will say that it is a cyclic process because the system go back in its initial state. This is called cyclic process. In cyclic process, the change in internal energy will be 0. Del U equals to 0. Okay. So from the first law, this one, if we put del U equals to 0, so we get del Q equals to del W. That means whatever heat we will supply in a cyclic process, the whole amount of heat will be used to do the work, to perform the work, and no change in internal energy will be there. Okay. So the work done by the system during this process, that is area of the loop in the figure, is equal to the amount of energy that flows into system. Okay. In a cyclic process, if we draw a graph between V and P. We are taking V on x-axis and P on y-axis. So we will see that we will get two curves which together combine and make a loop. Okay, and if we want to find out the work done in the cyclic process, how much amount of work is done in cyclic process, so we can calculate this area. This area will represent us the amount of work done in a cyclic process, that is the amount of heat energy which is used in this cyclic process. Now let's discuss about sign conventions, and I want all of you to pay full attention because whatever we are going to study next, whatever derivation will be there, these signs will play important role. So we should know where we have to put plus sign and where we have to put minus sign. Okay. So first one, heat absorbed by a system is taken as positive and heat given out is taken as negative. So suppose if any system is absorbing heat, okay, from outside, the heat is transferred to the system, that time we will take it as positive heat. But if the system is giving out the heat, if the heat is coming out from the system, that time we will show heat with negative sign. Second, mechanical work done by the system on the surrounding is taken as positive and work done on the system is taken as negative. Okay, that means there we have seen one example. In that we were supplying heat to gas and gas was moving the piston. So who is doing work here? Gas is doing work here on the piston. So here work is done by the gas on the piston. So when the work is done by the system, we will take it as positive, and if we press the piston in downward direction, if we press the piston and because of that there will be some changes in the gases, its temperature increases or pressure increases or volume decreases, some change will be there in gas. So that time we will say that work is done on the system. Okay, so when the work is done on the system, that time we will take work as negative. So work done by the system positive, work done on the system negative. Third, the increase in the internal energy of the system is taken as positive and the decrease in the internal energy is taken as negative. Then let's see application of the first law of thermodynamics. So first is melting process. Melting is the process in which a solid converts into its liquid state at a constant temperature. This is known as latent heat of melting, which is defined as the amount of heat required to completely change 1 kilogram of solid into a liquid state without any change in temperature. Now consider a solid mass m and let L be the latent heat. Okay, so whatever heat will be required to melt the solid is given by dq equals to ml. Okay, now assume that increase in the volume due to melting is negligible. No change in volume. That means no work is done here. So del W equals to 0. So according to first law of thermodynamics, if we put value of del W 0 and value of del Q ml, so we get ml equals to del U or del U equals to ml. That means change in internal energy will be m into L. Okay. Second, boiling process. Boiling is the process in which a liquid converts into its gaseous state at constant temperature and pressure. This is called the latent heat of vaporization, which is defined as the quantity of heat required to convert 1 kg of liquid into vapor at the same temperature. Okay, now consider a liquid of mass m having a volume V1 at pressure P and temperature T. Let L be the latent heat of vaporization of the liquid and V2 is the volume of the liquid in vapor form under the same pressure and temperature. Am I clear to you? V1 is the volume of the liquid, but when that liquid is converted into vapor, So that time its volume will change, and now the volume become V2. V1 is the volume of liquid, V2 is the volume of vapor. Now from the first law of thermodynamics, we know that del Q equals to del U plus del W. Now here, because the volume has changed, that means we can say that work has been done. Okay, in previous case no work was done, so del W was 0 there. But in this case, because volume has changed, so we can say that work has done here. And how much amount of work is done here? Work is PdV. Okay, in previous class we have derive that formula, W equals to PdV, and dV means change in volume. So change in volume is also given by V2 minus V1. So in place of dV we can write V2 minus V1 here. Okay, we have derived W equals to PdV. So in place of dV we are putting V2 minus V1. Okay, and in place of del Q we will put ml. So here we have this formula of kinetic energy, del U equals to ml minus p V2 minus V1. In place of V2 minus V1 we can also write dV, that also will be okay. So we can say that during boiling the internal energy of the system increases. It is important to note that this increase is due to the increase in the internal potential energy and not the internal kinetic energy. Okay, so during the boiling process the internal energy increases because of potential energy. Now third application of first law of thermodynamics is there in establishing a relation between Cp and Cv. Now what is Cp and what is Cv, that we have discussed in previous chapter. Cp is the specific heat at constant pressure and Cv is the specific heat at constant volume. Okay, so and we have already seen that the value of Cv, okay, how the value of Cv and Cp is related, that also we have discussed. Now consider 1 mole of ideal gas contained in a cylinder provided with a movable and frictionless piston. So whatever I am telling, you have to imagine that in your mind. Okay, consider one consider one cylinder in which gas is filled. Okay, and here one piston is provided. This piston is movable, it can move upward and downward direction. So that means the volume of this cylinder can be changed. Let P, V and T represent the initial state of the gas. The gas is heated at constant volume to increase its temperature by dT. So the main word here is the gas is heated at constant volume. Okay, so when the gas is heated at constant volume, so that time the heat absorbed by the gas will be del Q equals to NCV dt. Now because N is 1 mole of gas we took, so del Q equals to CV dt. Now because volume remains same, so dW equals to 0. That means the total work done here, del W will be equals to 0. So now according to first law of thermodynamics, if we put del Q equals to CV dt and del W equals to 0, so we will get del U equals to CV dt. Okay, this is one equation for change in internal energy when the volume of the cylinder was fixed. At constant volume we have got this relation for internal energy. Now suppose the gas were heated at constant pressure at the same initial state to increase its temperature by dT. When we have to maintain the pressure, we obviously have to change the volume. That means in this case now work will be there. Okay, in case of constant volume no work was done, but in case of constant pressure work will be done there. Work should be done. Okay, so here now suppose that heat is given by CPdt and the total work done on the system is given by del W equals to PdV. Sorry, total work done by the gas is given by del W dash is PdV. When we put these two values in equation of first equation of thermodynamics, we get this equation. CPdt equals to del U dash plus PdV. If we rewrite this formula, so we can write it like this, del U dash equals to CPdV minus PdV. Like that also this formula can be written. As the increase in the temperature of the gas is equal in both cases, okay, in both cases when the volume was fixed and when the pressure was fixed, the increase in temperature was same. That means the increase in internal energy also should be same. So we can say that du dash equals to du. Du dash equals to du. That means in place of du dash in this equation, we can put value of du which is given by Cv dt. When we put that value here, so this equation will take this form. Cp dt equals to Cv dt plus Pdv. Now leave this equation aside. Let's move to ideal gas equation. We know that for an ideal gas PV equals to RT. If we differentiate both the sides, so we will have PdV equals to RdT. PdV equals to RdT we are having. So now in place of PdV we can put RdT. Okay. So this formula take this form. Sorry. The formula will take this form. CPdt equals to CVdt plus RdT. Here we can take out dt as common. Okay. So we will have CPdt equals to Cv plus R into dt. So dt get cancel and we will have Cp equals to Cv plus R, or if we transport Cv on the left side, we will have this formula Cp minus Cv equals to R. So this is the relation between specific heat at constant pressure and constant volume, and this formula we have derived with the help of first law of thermodynamics. So this is also an application of first law of thermodynamics which shows us relation between Cp and Cv. And this formula is also called Mayer's formula, and this is one very important derivation in this chapter. So you all have to practice it 2-3 times or more, okay, till you will get very fluent in it. Now this is it for today's lecture. In tomorrow's lecture we will discuss about limitations of first law and some more phenomena related to thermodynamics, and then we will discuss about the second law as well. So see you in next lecture. Till then, goodbye, take care, do some productive work, and the most important thing, be healthy, be safe.